Welcome to the Airflow Podcast. I'm your host, Rickey Thomas, and this is the place where Kingdom heirs go to be informed and inspired. So sit back, relax, and flow with me. Welcome back to the Airflow Podcast. I am your host, Rickey Thomas, and today I am very blessed to have a wonderful, beautiful guest host with me. My lovely wife, Casandra Thomas, is here to guest host with me. So welcome, Casandra. For those that she's better affectionately known as KK. So it's going to be hard for me to call her Casandra throughout the podcast. So I will be referring to my wife as KK. So KK, welcome to the podcast. I'm glad you're taking some time to talk to me and talk to the people. So I just want to welcome you, and I look forward to this conversation we're gonna have today.
All right, thanks for having me, sir.
See, y'all don't know she being funny because we talked about this. So I'm just gonna share. So before we talked about doing this, I was like, well, how you gonna do your professional voice, or you gonna do your KK at home with the family voice? And she was like, I'm just gonna be me. I'm just gonna be me. And she already starting off doing this. I'm doing well, sir. But nevertheless, KK is here. I'm excited. As I mentioned in the first episode, I'm going to have her be a part of the podcast, at different times. The podcast is not always about, me interviewing other people. It's not always just about, me talking, but, my wife is just a bigger part of this process as anybody. So she's one of the main reasons why I'm doing this podcast. So it's only fair for me to have her on and get her viewpoints. But today in this episode, we really want to talk about our story. And I think it's important because, I've seen so many times, and, KK chime in, but I've seen so many times, especially over the past, several years, where marriage is kind of being shunned upon. People are looking at marriage in a different light nowadays. And I understand it. There are challenges. People are definitely short with everybody in their relationships, but, most people just figure I'd rather be alone than be married, or they don't want to be with somebody or deal with other people's attitudes and take on other people's problems, some folks will say. So I felt it was important for us to come on, to talk about our relationship, talk about our experience through marriage, and just really encourage others who are married, thinking about getting married, in the process of getting married, even those that are in the process of, talking through divorce. I think it's just important to hear from people who have some experience, and, the same with us. We've listened to different people with different experiences in their marriages, and it's helped us to grow. So, KK, how do you feel about, marriages today? Just, we'll start there. What's your feeling about how marriage is being looked at in today's society?
I would say in today's society, it's probably, I think people are quick to just give up on marriages. They don't want to put in the work. I mean, I've seen where you have individuals where, they have challenges, but they don't like to, they always like to point at the other person. They always feel like there's nothing wrong with me, it's you or whatever. And just with COVID, like I was telling you last year, when COVID first happened, I felt like if you don't make it through your marriage through this time, I don't know what you can do, because you're sitting there looking at each other every day, especially the ones that were able to work from home. You're sitting up there looking at each other every day, and, especially if you have kids, your kids are around, you're working, you're sitting there in the house, you can't go anywhere. So if you couldn't survive during that time, I don't know what you could do. I would say in our marriage, one thing I will say is that I'm sure I probably mentioned this to you last year, but it's funny that you and I were, I had my back surgery in January, so I pretty much was already home before COVID happened, anyways. But just during that time, you was able to come home, and then the kids were home, and all of us was there together. But me and you, and sitting at the dining room table working, and Christian sitting there, I actually can say I didn't get tired of being around you. Um, I mean, of course, there's times where I wanted a break and from, you know, just everyday life or work and everything. But I'll say that I didn't really get frustrated with being there with you every day, all day. I mean, it's still time that both of us are pretty sure that we want our own me time, but I didn't feel like, oh, I'm tired of looking at you or whatever. Because I
Yeah.
mean, you did your thing, I did my thing. I was on me, you was on calls or whatever. But it almost felt like we were together, but we weren't together. Because I mean, even though you were sitting across the table from me, we could go all day almost not really talking that much because we were so involved in our own work. So I mean, I don't
Yeah.
know.
I mean, I think you touched upon some key points. I think, just starting back or going back to the whole piece about, marriage and, not wanting to work. I think that is one of the key things that people forget or they don't think about when they get married. They think about, the wedding, the reception, and, you know, the feeling of I got married and I went through all the ceremonies and all that stuff. But the work starts after all that goes away, after everybody is kind of moved on and they realize, okay, yeah, you got married, that's great, and you open all the gifts and you go through all that stuff. It's like, okay, now it's the two of you building, building from that point. And if your foundation was shaky from the beginning, in terms of why you got married, the reasons why you got married, if it wasn't something that was going to be sustainable, like love and friendship and all that stuff, then it's kind of hard for you to fight for something because what you based your relationship off of wasn't really, something that was stable enough to really build a foundation. So, or build from that foundation. So, and the pandemic was just a totally, I mean, that, like you said, I think that really did challenge a lot of people because now you have to sit there and look at not only your spouse, but if you've got children, you're within those four walls of the house and having to deal with family, drama or just deal with things because everybody was handling it differently. Some people who are introverts, they're like, okay, this is cool. I can sit at home and I don't have to be around people. So I'm good. I'm in my zone. And you got people, like our daughter, Sanai, she's more of a extrovert. She likes to be around. I mean, she's kind of mixed. She likes to be around people, but she don't like to be around people. But, I think we all just started feeling like the walls are closing in. And, that's why we decided to take a quick little getaway and get it from around the house and just figure out different ways that we can do things safely. But
She
I
likes
100,
to be she likes to be around people. She's like she don't like to be around a lot of people, and
yeah,
especially people that she doesn't know. So she
yeah.
pretty much gets that from me.
But yeah, I don't mean I think you start to find out not just about our marriage, but just around about our family, and it was good, like you said, sitting at the table during that time. I mean, so for everybody to get kind of a visual, it's myself. I've got a laptop and two monitors. KK's got a laptop and two monitors, and she's sitting at one end of the table. Christian is sitting at the other end of the table. So at the heads of the table, Christian's sitting at the other head of the table. He's got a laptop and a bunch of books. So that's kind of our dynamic that was our dynamic for a good, 3 to 6 months. We were sitting there, until he got out of school, about, I'll say 3 months until they got out of school. But, it was crazy because yes, we were engulfed in our work, but no, we didn't get tired of being around each other. And there was times where we got up and, if you had a meeting or you had a call, and I was on the call, you would go to the room or vice versa. I would get up and go to the room. We made it work. I know that's something we were always wanting to do was be able to work from home, or have the ability to work from home. And I've had the opportunity probably more so than you have until recently you've been able to do it more. But I think during that time, it did show us a lot more about our marriage. And so to go back, kind of take it back from the pandemic and just earlier on for us, the work part, to get to that place, let's talk about the work that it takes to really make a marriage happen. You said something about you can't just look at the other person's faults. You got to look at the marriage and look at the relationship. Like, what are you bringing to the table? What are you doing to make things better, and really focus on being the best you in that relationship as possible. So how key is that? Because sometimes that's hard for people to take accountability in, what they bring or don't bring to the table in a relationship, that's good or bad. So, what's your thoughts on that?
I feel before we even get to that point, I think we need to take it back a little bit further of how long we've been together to even get to the point that we are now. Um, we met 1996 at Tennessee State University. We were good friends. You want me to give my version, or you gonna give your version?
I mean, it's somewhere in there. The truth is, somewhere in there is a truth. So, no, I mean, yeah, we can take it all the way back, but yeah, you can't just say we met at Tennessee State. We met at the best HBCU around, the best in the land, the Tennessee State
Oh, of
University,
course.
Big Blue Tigers,
The real blue.
Big Blue Tigers. So yeah, we met there in the summer of 96. So we just graduated high school, and we both went to engineering summer programs, kind of like a bridge program for high school graduates who want to go into engineering. They had a summer scholarship program called ECI, Engineering Concepts Institute. So yeah, you can take it from there.
Oh, okay. So, like you said, we met in at TSU in summer program. I don't know. Did I see you the first day or not? I can't remember. But anyway, we
Yeah, we
met
saw
during
each other. We saw each other the first day because we had that icebreaker. So
right,
that
right.
was that first night I saw you. I was introduced to you by our friend Aisha. And yeah, that's a whole different story. But go ahead.
So yeah, so we became friends. We were feel that we was pretty much good friends. We used to talk almost every night after we got done doing our homework for the night. Um, After we came back to school in the fall in August, I guess we stayed in contact. We did have a class together freshman year. What was that? Intro to
Intro to
engineering or something?
engineering. Yeah.
Yeah. So we used to trip out or whatever, and
No,
stay friends.
she said we used to trip out. She used to laugh and try to egg me on to say stupid stuff and crazy stuff. So I was like keeping her very amused in the class, and she sat back there laughing the whole time.
Yeah, that's pretty much when you was funny. But
See,
anyways,
see, she throwing shots.
so so yeah, we had a class together, intro to engineering, and we pretty much we were good friends. I think we started probably liking each other a little bit at ECI.
Well, I liked you from the beginning. I liked you from the beginning, but I was just playing kind of.
Yeah, now
I
he
didn't want
say
to.
it.
No, I mean I told you that even before. I didn't tell you I liked you at the time, but later on I told you I did like you. But I was trying to play it cool and
He had him a little girlfriend back at home, and I guess I still was kind of I was going with my boyfriend, so we didn't totally break up yet.
so
But
she was trying to have her college experience, and I was trying to have mine, I guess.
so yeah, so we were liking each other. But yeah, I was going with someone at that time, so I'm not a cheater, so I didn't I couldn't get too close to you, but we were cool or whatever. So so
Lord.
anyways, he so freshman year we were pretty tight or whatever. Then I guess at that point, at the end of freshman year, I guess me and my boyfriend had broke up because he ended up leaving from down here. And Ricky used to go to his cousin's house every weekend, so I couldn't get him to come over and hang out or nothing. He wanted to go with his cousins, CC and Alvin's house or whatever. And I guess I wasn't good enough for him to hang out with on the weekends.
Whatever. No, it wasn't that. It was just I I always had this thing that I love being around family. So with me, when I was down, when I was at home in Detroit, I was always around family. Like even with my friends, they would hang around me and my family. So, when I was able to hang out with them, I was hanging out with my younger cousins, Alvin and Ashley, and we did. It was kind of cool, it was hanging out with them, and it wasn't I didn't want to hang out with you. I think at the same time, I kind of understood that we both liked each other, but I wasn't ready to be in a relationship yet. And I thought that's where I was going. So I didn't want to give the impression of I'm hanging out with you and this we about to start like, being in a relationship. Cause it was, we had been talking for a minute on the phone. Like we would talk, like you said, every day. But I didn't want to go through that process of knowing, going through that process of having to tell you I didn't, I can't be in a relationship with you. So I was trying to avoid that in a way too. And then one day you told me how you felt, and I told you that I told you I wasn't ready. I was honest, and I said I wasn't ready at the time, and I know that bothered you a bit. And
No,
it,
not really. I
it
was
did.
good.
KK, KK,
I was good.
you was good, but you stopped talking to me. You ain't like you used to. We used to.
No, I didn't stop talking to you. We
Yes, you
still
did.
talk, but I just
No, no.
no,
We
I
there were we started having gaps in the time we talked. It was
no,
like,
we talked.
nah, it wasn't, and
It
you
just
can
wasn't
tell it
the
was
same.
different. Yeah, you
Yeah,
can
it
tell it
was.
was different, but it wasn't every day. It wasn't like, hours and hours. It was short conversations like, hey, how you doing? And then, it's like, all right, well, I'm about to go, and I'm like, well, dang, I guess,
what it wasn't nothing else to talk about. You didn't like me, so
but see, we were
I,
friends, and that's what I was like,
we were still friends. But
but
I
it was
just turned my
different.
feelings off.
And so when you turned your feelings off, it was like, okay, I can't be cool to that degree we were at before. But it was cool, I understood, but I felt okay about it because I told you the truth. And I would have rather been honest with you than be in a relationship that I wasn't ready to be in. And then we would have broken up and not been together. So I think God worked it out for us, because it came back around. We both, did our own thing for a couple years. And then, our junior year, we, that summer, junior year, something like that, we, reconnected again and started hanging out and, officially started dating. So, for me, I think it was a good thing for me because I was more mature at that point in time. I'm not saying I was fully mature, but I was more mature. I knew that I always wanted to be married. My family would tell you that even as a kid, I always wanted to be married and have kids. So that was never a question. I wanted to, and the person I was going to be with, I was at a point earlier on as a man, which is uncommon, but everybody that I talked to were people that I wanted to really consider as, somebody I could be with forever. Um, and you were always the one that I kept coming back to. So, that's how I said I knew you were the one. I used to tell you I told you I had a dream about us being together, or us sitting in my mom and my parents' kitchen. And, we had just told that we were about to tell them that we were getting married or whatever, or engaged or something. Like I had little dreams like that. And that was like right before we really started dating. So, I always knew that it was something special. And, God allowed it to happen. So, that was the beginning of kind of where we got going. I mean, we were dating for what? We dated for like 2.5 years. Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
we dated like 2.5 years, so almost 3 years. Um, but we got engaged after about a year and a half. Yeah, about a year and a half. We got engaged. Both of us were still in school. You were in your graduating semester. I still had another year to go because I changed majors. So that was different because I was getting all kind of, you sure you ready to get married? You ain't even graduated college yet. You talking about getting married. So we had got engaged, and right before our wedding, we got a house. So we just had all this stuff going on. But the key
We
thing,
didn't sleep together. Wait. Make sure we put that in there. We didn't sleep together in the house. We just had the house together before we got married.
It was like 6 months before we got married. And
We
she
slept in
like,
separate rooms.
and she lying. We slept in the same room. He tell the truth. I'm not about to sit here and lie. Yeah, we semi-shacked for 6 months. But we did get married.
What semi shack? Did we shack or we didn't shack?
Well, we shacked for 6 months. But we did get we already had wedding plans, and it happened, but we did shack. But the thing about our relationship in those beginning times, and the one thing, like I said, I was still going through the maturation process. We both were. But I know for me, I had this mindset of, I am the man, and, I wanted to make sure I was doing my part. And KK was very big on, we're a team. She had graduated. She was an engineer. She working at Saturn. That's now GM manufacturing, but she was at Saturn. Yeah. She was making good money. I was still in school. I was working at a cable company, Comcast. I was, on the phone doing tech support. I moved up to supervisor, but I wasn't making a lot of money. I was making enough to pay some of the bills. And my idea when we got married was, we're gonna get an apartment. We'll save up. I'll be working and making moves so I can move up to get into a better career. Then we'll get a house and have a family and this, that, and the other. And KK was just like, it's not about that. We're a team. My money is your money. We'll pull our money together, and we'll make it happen. Um, and I appreciate that, because even then she was ride or die about working together. It was always about teamwork, and I think that's key. It's one thing. I mean, she loved me. I knew she loved me, but she also understood that we've got to be a team to make this work. So, some people have a great team chemistry, but they suck when it comes to just loving each other. And I think that's something that we've been working to continuously get better at. But the first 5 years of our marriage it was rocky, because we were coming into our own as adults, and, we were still pretty young. And that first year of our marriage, we were pregnant with our child. So, I tell the story that I went from graduating college to getting married to being a father within about a 13-month period. So for me, there was a lot of changes going on. And I thank God that
So during that time, you gotta mention your mother was sick.
Yeah,
First time she had cancer, so we were dealing with a lot during that time.
yeah. So I'm studying for finals. My mom's sick, trying to get, making sure, we're doing, I was doing a little bit. You did most of the stuff for the wedding, but, getting the wedding stuff together, working full-time job, so we can get the house. And then after I graduate, then it's, my mom, was, by that point, she was in remission the first time. And, and Sinai was, had Sinai within that first year of right before our first year anniversary. We had Sinai like 10 days before that. So there was a lot of changes, a lot of stuff going on. And, had it not been for God and having a strong foundation with us in our relationship, I don't know if we would have made that. And most people that I talk to, they tell you that the first 5 years of marriage, it is the true test. And I don't care how great people's marriages may seem on the outside, there are going to be some challenging times. I think a lot of people don't share that. They always talk about the great things. Oh, you guys match each other the way you dress, or you guys are always, you compliment each other so well. And I mean, we did that. But we also knew too, if we had challenges, we didn't let them linger on for a long time, but we also knew not to spread all of our stuff out in the public. When we had challenges, we tried to work them out. Some people knew about them. It was select people. And that was because, we wanted them to know, because we cared about their guidance and thoughts about, the situation. We knew they understood about marriages and they can help us. And then you don't want any unnecessary warfare to deal with, bringing certain people into your marriage. So that was another thing that I really respected, about KK, and just about how we are. We don't just run off telling everybody our business, especially in our relationship, because that can get messy. And I've seen a lot of relationships get majorly damaged because of that. So, that first 5 years was interesting though. two kids. We had our second kid within that time. So I don't know. It might have been better for you. How was the first 5 years for you?
No, no, it was rocky. I mean, we went through financial challenges,
Yeah.
just challenges of just us. Like you said, we were growing. We had to learn each other ways. I mean, one thing that I know that you had to learn about me is you're the type of person that if we going through something, you want to nip it in the bud. Let's talk about it right then. I'm the type of person like, no, give me time, give me space, let me think about it, because I didn't want to say the wrong thing. Because my thing is always, I need to calm down because if I say what I feel right at that moment, I know I'm going to regret it. So instead of me have to regret what I said to you or to anybody else, just let me step away and calm down and think about it and let's talk about it at that point.
So what she
And that's
said is she don't have any filters and she needs to take time to prepare herself to say the right thing, or you will get the unfiltered version of what she wanted to say.
hey, I'm being honest.
And so that's why I say sometimes, but some, and I did have to do that because again, I'm the type of person, and not that KK likes drama. I'm the type of person where I can't sleep or function if there's drama in my household. That's the one thing that will keep me up. I usually go to sleep pretty quickly, but if there's drama, that's what worried me. Like I can't work, I can't focus on work or just anything if there's drama, especially in our marriage. It never sits right with me. And I try to do what I can, and sometimes it is me being forceful and trying to control the situation instead of just letting things be what it needs to be and give her space. But I try my best to at least make sure I apologize, and I don't just apologize just to do it. I mean, I do apologize for my portion of whatever the discussion was that turned into an argument at the time. I make that clear. If I felt I was wrong, I will say I'm wrong. And KK will, she'll say, okay. And a few days later, whatever, a few weeks later, we may address it again. And usually it does come up at some point.
Why you have to go there? Few days, few weeks.
I mean,
It's funny.
it's sometimes it happens, and but it does get addressed, and we do talk about it, and you know learn from it and move on. And I think that's, to me, that's what's key, is that we do talk about things. It's not to say that we're perfect, and I don't expect, she doesn't expect me to be perfect. I don't expect her to be perfect, but we continue to learn and grow together, and we're continuing to evolve even now. We've been married for 19 years. We've been together for 22 years. And, even through all of that, we're still learning different things about each other, and moving up, we're aging a bit. Our kids are in different seasons, so we're experiencing, now we got a kid going to college, which is a mind-boggling thing, going through that whole process. So all the emotions that come with that. Now we've got two kids in the house. One's a sophomore going into a sophomore year of high school, one's a fifth grader. So we're all over the place with a college student, a sophomore in high school, and a fifth grader, and trying to be all that we can for them, and then trying to find our peace, for ourselves, having our own me time, but as well as our time together. And that's something that we both talk about, constantly having a desire to do. It's just me and you spend time together, whether it's just going out on, just going out, hanging out. It can be just simple stuff of going to Walmart and getting groceries. But, now that the kids are a little older, we can keep them at home, let them stay home by themselves. We can go out for the day and do something and not feel guilty about it. So that's a different place, because we haven't always been there. We're starting to get better at that, I would say. But
Yeah, I think we're getting better at it. Still have work to do on that
yeah,
area, but we're getting better.
yeah, I would say we've been, over the years, we've definitely seen where we have poured a lot of time into our kids, and there's nothing wrong with that. I think what I've always shared is, and we both of us talked about that. We don't want to get to the place where we pour so much into our kids and we don't pour enough into each other, that when our kids are gone and they're living the best life ever because we've we've given them all the tools and poured so much into them that we look at each other and we're like, who are you? And we wind up going through a divorce after the kids are gone, out of the house. And that was one of the things that I didn't want to do. And I've seen it happen, in various places with different people in my lifetime where, you know, everything was about the kids and nothing was really focused on with the marriage. And, that can make things grow cold in that marriage, marriage bed, just in marriage in general. So that's one of the things that I fear. And it's easy to get caught up in the kids. You want to see them do well. And, our kids are involved in sports and different things, academics and all that. We want to see them succeed, and it's almost to our detriment in a way that, we try to make sure that we do everything we can. And again, there's nothing wrong with that, but you got to find that healthy balance of saying, okay, you guys are old enough to figure some of this stuff out on your own. We're going to go over here and do our thing. And, we'll come back to you if you need help. So I know that's been a challenge. I would say that's probably one of the biggest challenges now with us is probably just dating. So let's talk about the dating part, because it is important that you should still date in a marriage. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, it's very important. You should date in marriage. I mean, I feel like, man, you talked about this before, but I mean, especially when you've been married for as long as we have, you definitely need to date because you get an opportunity to just get away from your kids. But I mean, when you date, it leads to other things. It's just not about spending time, but it's about helping with the intimacy part of it. I feel like sometimes when you don't date, you can lose that aspect of it, because you feel like, how can I say this? I don't know. I just feel like when you don't date, it gets to the point where you're just
Roommates.
roommates
Yeah.
you're just roommates at times,
And I,
so I think it's very important that you date when you're married and especially married for years.
yeah. And I think people lose, you a lot of times with just because what we mentioned a lot of stuff with family and just life in general, you forget those things of why you fell in love with your spouse, how they caught your eye. It's like sometimes we take for granted, getting up and just going, putting on something nice and going somewhere, even if it's just walking around to look at houses or just doing window shopping, just doing something together where you're not, especially now in this pandemic world where everybody is at home in pajamas and shorts all day and just looking plain. It's okay to fix yourself up, get your hair cut, your hair done, look good, every once in a while for your spouse, and let them see like, hey, I still care about how I look for you. If not, you should do it for yourself. But definitely you want to keep things interesting, keep things spicy. And it's hard to do that if you're just doing everything for the kids and sitting around. And we've had some, some real heart to hearts about that, because there have been times, where it's like, man, we just felt like roommates. And it's not any one of our, it's never been like it's one of our faults. It's on both of us. We just, after doing all that we do between work and our kids, when it comes down to just any free time, we were just, either taking care of things around the house or just trying to relax a little bit here and there. And you do that, you do that a little bit and then it turns into a lot. And the next thing you know, you've got gaps in time, in between, the last time you went on a date and the time you need to do a date. And, is there a certain frequency? I think it's up to the couple. Budget is up to the couple. I mean, I think you need to do something. Doesn't have to be, taking extravagant trips around the country. It is about, it can be going out to dinner, it can be going, like I said, going to a park and just sitting around, going to a vineyard and just chilling, listening to some music. No, there's different things.
You can just do different things. You can do, like, one of my things was, it doesn't have to be something big. It can be something just put some thought into it. It can be us just going and sit in the backyard and being creative and having a picnic,
You don't like being
having,
outside though.
well, I I do that just for you.
No, but what I got what you said. I mean, but yeah, I think, and that used to be my thing. My thing was we're gonna do something, we're gonna do it big. And just so y'all know, KK is very much a numbers person. She is, she's good at it when it comes to crunching numbers, when it's looking at the bottom line. She's the CFO for our family. And, I say that proudly because she has a gift in it. It's not that, I mean, she's taught me so much. But I say all that to say when it comes down to the finances and things, she gets on me because it's like, well, you don't have to go spend this to do something nice. And I'm the type of person where I'm like, like we gonna be good. I'm gonna go get this, and I want to take you to get something nice or do this and that, and go spend a couple $100 on a nice dinner and this and that. And Hick like, well, we ain't got to do all that. I'm like,
But I'm so simple. It don't take all that.
she says she's simple, but she is, and not in a bad way. She's simple, but I like to show her that you mean much more to me than just the simple things. So it's not that I don't hear what you're saying, but it's also like you deserve to have the best. And I think sometimes she downplays that she deserves to have the best because she'll look at what's in our account and what she desires to have in our account and think like, well, I can't have the best right now. And I'm like, no, we've always been good. God has continued to bless us. So that just gets into a whole different conversation. And I've got to the place now, as I've gotten older and just realized things, I'm like, you know what? God blessed us to be able to take care of each other. I get the small things, but if I see something I want to get for her, I'm gonna get it.
But it don't take that. But my thing is it's the thought.
It
It's
is. I agree.
it could be multiple small things
Yes.
that you're creative with it. That to me is just better than like this big old gift that costs $500 or $1,000. And
$500
that's
ain't
your
nothing.
thing.
That's a drop in the
I'm just
bucket.
okay, spitballing. I'm just saying though, that's how you are. If
I
you
mean,
ain't
and that's
spending,
me.
if you're not spending in the hundreds or the thousands, whatever, you like, man, I ain't gonna do nothing right now because I can't spend all this money. But I'm like, it don't take all that. It can take you buying me a nice shirt that you seen that I liked. I'm like, you just thought about me.
So if I get you a $2 shirt that says wifey on it and get that to you, you okay with it?
Hey, it's the thought that counts. If you went to the store, you're like, oh, I think this is a nice shirt. I thought you'll like this. I thought, oh, okay, that's you thought about me, and that's what I'm saying. I'm simple. It's just a fact to show that you thought about the person.
That's why every time I go to the store, I see some Boston baked beans or some Twizzlers licorice. I'll be like, I'm gonna grab that for KK.
And I appreciate that.
You get mad at me like, I'm trying to watch my weight. Don't be bringing it home, but you eat
Yeah.
it. You definitely eat it. But yeah, I mean, I think again, for people, you got to do what you got to do with regardless of a budget. If money is a thing, there are a ton of free things to do. And yes, you do have to be creative. And yes, there have been times where I've gotten on Google and looked up stuff, like what to do, especially around Nashville. I mean, being in Tennessee in the Nashville area, because it's growing so much. There's so many new things that are out there that are, no free to very low cost to do. You just try to take advantage of it. I mean, instead of going to fancy restaurants, like I've cooked her just meals at home, like nice meals with no kids. And, I think they've turned out pretty good. I don't know what
you're
you're saying.
pretty. You're a pretty good cook. I keep you.
I try. I like cooking, so I don't
Nah,
mind.
you you can cook. Rickey can cook, y'all. Rickey's a great cook.
Oh my, KK can cook too. I think KK can cook. I think her thing, and she'll tell you she just don't like doing the prep.
I
If
don't
she if
like the
she can,
prepping stuff.
she ain't trying to cut and measure and do all that stuff. Just
Mm-mm.
give her all the ingredients and she'll put it together. But she knows how to cook. She's been taught by some of the best, so She
I'll
knows,
measure. I just don't like cutting up stuff. I don't like all that. If you can just cut the stuff up for me, I cook.
especially onion. She just come in the
Oh
room with an
yeah.
onion, like, here,
Mm.
can you cut this for me? I'm like, all right. I usually already know she gonna ask me to cut the onion. Even in the food processor, she don't want to slice it up and put it in the food processor because she just don't like cutting in general. So
Burns my eyes. No, it burns my eyes. My eyes are precious.
yes, they are precious. You have precious eyes. But I mean, the reason why we can sit here and talk about this because we pay attention to each other and we put time into it. I mean, that is that you hear that anything worth having, you got to fight for, you got to spend time in doing so. And I think, you know, nowadays, they used to call our generation the microwave generation. And now this generation is like hyper sensitive to every little thing. So, once somebody makes you mad, it's like, all right, I'm about to go to the next person. I'm gonna go to the next person. I'm gonna go to the next person without staying there and trying to fight through something. It's like there's not a lot of patience with things, or there's not a lot of work done in the beginning to make sure that that's the person that you really want to be with. We didn't just rush into this. We had, years of friendship. We had, years of talking about what we wanted to do in life, knowing what each other's goals and desires were. I guarantee you, KK was not going to be with me if I just said, I wanted to work and be a gym teacher. And I'm not saying that there's something wrong with being a PE teacher. There's nothing wrong with that. But for her, those are not her goals. So if I would have presented that to her in the beginning, we may not have been together, or she would have been trying to encourage me to do a little something more. Not that she wanted my money, because that's the thing. That's the thing I loved about her. KK was very independent. Her mama taught her to be very independent, especially after her daddy died. Her mom, told her, like, how to take care of her credit, save her money, spend it wisely. And that's why she is the way she is today, which I'm glad, because, if it wasn't for her, she helped me get good credit. My credit, it wasn't that I didn't have credit. And just understanding how to, stay on top of paying bills and credit cards and stuff like that. Like, she's like a robot when it comes to that stuff. She just can do it in her sleep. So she helped me. I mean, the reason why I got over 800 credit score now is because I had somebody helping to show me that, and that person is my wife. So, um, she's just very good at that stuff. So she was independent. She had her own money. She bought herself, she was interning at Saturn, and she was taking that money and paying for her apartment for the year, budgeting, got her a car before she graduated, and used the money that she made to pay for that for a year, put her money aside. I mean, she was just very good with money. So she always had that part, and it was no problem for her, and balancing budgets and things like that. So that's why I said, just knowing her, she didn't need me. She wasn't with me because she thought I had some money, or she thought I was going to do this. She was like, nah, I got my own. Like, she was truly independent. And that's why I said I respected that, because I knew if she liked me for me. It wasn't about what I had. It wasn't like I was just this rich person back then, or I had a lot of money. I came from a good family. My parents worked hard, and they gave me the best that they can give me. And I'm appreciative of that. And so that's why I think our families got along. That's why I think we got along, because we had similar backgrounds. Both being from same areas in Michigan. She's from Flint, I'm from Detroit, and just having that same kind of common background. I think that helped us too, to talk about things. And then obviously, being able to see each other when we came home and spend time with each other's family. So we developed a bond, beyond just the two of us, earlier on. So I think all those things are important. I don't know what else. Am I missing
I,
something that
I needed you. We complement each other very well.
we did? We do. We still do. We do compliment each other well, because there's things that I do, like I don't mind public speaking. You know, KK is
Not
good
my
at it.
thing. No, I'm
KK
not.
KK is good.
No.
She says she's not, but when she does it, she speaks with passion, and people gravitate to her when she does that. And she always downplays that, but she is good
I
at it.
always say they just do it because they're not used to me doing it.
No, they
It's not my thing.
they feel
This
your
is
heart.
this is your gift. It's not mine.
And see, I don't even see, I guess I don't see it as a gift, but I receive it, but KK is good at it. I try to encourage her to do that because I know that she's got a story, she's got a message, and then just, the knowledge that she has about, budgeting and things like that, she's just good at it. And I know she can help people. And when she's in her element, she flows with it. So, um, and that's what I would say about each other. We see the gifts that we have and we encourage each other with that. Um, KK stays on my butt about stuff, when I'm glad she keeps me on my toes, and you got to have that, we don't let each other get just content about things. We push each other, we support each other, mentally, physically, spiritually, financially, we invest in each other. Um, I know it sounds crazy we say invest in each other, but we do. I mean, all of our money is basically together. We've got some things that are out there, but we take time to invest in certain things that we want to do. This podcast equipment that I have now, I got because KK invested in me for Father's Day and said, I want to get you this. You know, she's done different things like that. I've helped her, with some stuff, just like, she wanted to wait because she's in this budgeting thing. Like, I don't want to spend this money now. I'm like, no, you need to go ahead and do this. I'm investing you in that. So we look out for each other in different ways. And that's the other good part about it. Well, that's the teamwork that comes into it. We love each other enough. We want to see each other succeed. And that's part of being a true friend, true couple. And we're trying to show our kids that as well, as they continue to get older, and we want them to see what a healthy marriage should be. A healthy marriage doesn't mean it's perfect, but it's being able to talk through your problems, and then from there be able to take that, and carry that into every relationship. If you can talk out your situation, that'll solve a lot of issues that happen within a marriage or within family relationships, within, professional relationships. It's healthier. So anything on that, KK?
No, I pretty much agree with everything you said. I mean, as far as the kids,
What?
oh, you trying to be funny.
You agreeing with me?
I,
Okay. No, I'm just
I
playing.
always agree with you.
I'm just playing.
I may not tell you, I agree with you in my mind.
Hmm. See, I don't even, I just assume I'm wrong.
No, not all the time, just sometimes.
So I get a little glimmer of hope in there. So that's a good thing. That's a good thing. Um, but yeah, I think with us, say we talked about, kind of touched upon a pandemic, but just kind of fast forward into where we are today. you know, yeah, for us to be able to move into what we're believing to move into as a couple, as relates to businesses and, just this next phase of our life, having that foundation earlier on in our relationship to be able to go through the challenges that the world is seeing from this pandemic, the other part is us being, rooted in our faith, having God as a part of our relationship is very key, to making it through all of the years that we've been together, and even through the challenges like, a pandemic or something like, just something like that. I think that has also kept us moving at the place that we need to be moving to, and being able to come back together and realize that, it's not about me being right. It's not about you being right. You know, God put us together for a reason. There is a path for us. We can continue to move forward if we just put our egos aside and work together in love first, and then work together as a team to make sure that, we're sticking to that vision. And sometimes, again, we get curveballs thrown at us. Life happens. Um, but I will say that we recover pretty well. And we've got a ton of great testimonies that, we'll be sharing. I mean, this won't be the last time you hear, the beautiful melodic voice of Casandra Thomas.
Oh, please.
So she will be back on here at different points in time. Like I said, she's got a lot of knowledge, and I'm sure there's a lot of things that we will talk about, just as how we bounce things off in our family. But this is us. We are 19 years in this marriage, three beautiful kids, you know, buying real estate, working on starting different streams, different businesses. Um, we definitely make mistakes, consistently trying to be better mentally, physically, spiritually, financially as individuals, and as a couple. And I think it's important, and I think that's one of the things that we definitely do is we try to be individually better for each other. Not just, I mean, we definitely want to be better for ourselves, because you have to love yourself. It's hard to love somebody else if you can't love yourself. And I think we definitely do that. But we also work to be better for each other and better for our family. And the decisions that we make, we always think about our family. And we keep our family first, and we keep God first, but then we also look at our family. So I think that is very important. We keep a good order, with God, me and you, and then our kids. I think we do a good job at that, especially now as we're getting older. The kids, I think we've gotten to the place where, like, okay, we got one that's driving, one that's about to drive. We feel pretty good about, leaving them at home and going do stuff we want to go do. And they even look at us sometimes like, you're not taking us? Like, no, y'all can stay home by yourselves. Yeah, all right. You know,
Yeah.
I think that freaks them out sometimes. They're like, y'all actually gonna leave us home? But you know, we trust them. We are in a position to do that now that they're older. So it gives us time to just go away for a few hours and then not tell them where we're going and let them figure it out.
Yeah. I think the boys are worse than tonight. She's at the point where she's trying to date, so she encouraged us to leave just because she know when it's time for her, she want to go somewhere that we don't say anything to her. But yeah, I think it's like I said before, it's important that you do date. You leave home, and it's okay to leave the kids at home. Because at one point we was always scared to do that. Not only that we were scared, but we felt guilty. Like, man, we're not gonna take them with us. We're not gonna take them to dinner with us. We're not gonna do this. But now it's to the point like, oh, they'll be all right. They'll survive. They better find some in that refrigerator to eat.
Well, yeah, because I mean they'll go out with their friends and their friends' family, and they'll be gone and having a time of their life, and we sitting at home like, nah, we don't want to go do this without them. Like, no, nah, we didn't. We've definitely changed, in a good way. We don't feel. And another thing, I guess, with us, we did, and we probably should have done more. We have a good support system around us. We've always had people that probably wouldn't have had a problem watching our kids for us to go out on dates. We just had this thing about just respecting people's time and not wanting to ask people to watch our
Hmm.
kids, because we didn't want to feel like we were just dumping our kids off for us to go party. And
Or just we was bothering people, or just being a burden of asking people to watch our kids.
yeah, and we had plenty of family around. It was just one of those things where it was like, oh, I don't want to, we felt guilty. And, the times that they did do it, they were like, anytime, people say anytime. We're like, we don't want to abuse that. But our anytime, we were like once a year, we were like, hey, can you watch,
Hmm.
can you watch the kids? Or, we would try to find like, one of their friends that we were cool with their parents, and we'll have the kids divided up, want to go here, want to go there, want to go somewhere else, so they can enjoy themselves and this, that, and the other, because we was like, we don't want to send three kids over somebody's house. That's a lot to do. And we didn't care. We would always send them places and make sure they had have money for them. And people were like, you don't have to send money for them. Like, that was just how we were. That's how we were wired up. And I know it wasn't because we didn't have it. It was just us. But as we started getting older, and Sinai was older, and she felt comfortable staying at home. We wouldn't stay out all like overnight, but of course, to leave them at home for a few hours for us to go do stuff. I think for us, we started feeling more comfortable, because after a while they didn't care. They was like, yeah, you can leave us at home by ourselves. And We were giving them strict rules and everything, but it was just part of the process. And now, that they're older and we're looking like we're excited. We're like, look, we got a kid that's driving. She can go take, so and so over there, and she can do this, she can do that. Now she's about to go to school. We got another one that's about to start driving. So we'll get Trey ready to drive, and he can take Christian to where he got to go. So we'll do what our parents did to us. You get it. You're excited when you first got your car, first got a license and was able to drive, and you was willing to drive everywhere. And after a while, it was like you tired of driving because you want to chill and you got to take your little sibling, somewhere to practice or wherever to school. And they're like, they tired of doing it. So we get to pass that on our kids.
Thank God I didn't have to deal with that.
Oh yeah, you're the youngest.
I'm the youngest, so
yeah,
I got to drive myself to work. That's it.
Yeah, you were fortunate. I had my older sister, Shani. She was off in school, and I started driving, and I was trying to take our younger siblings around, and it was cool at first. Like I said, because I didn't have a car of my own, so it was like, okay, well, yeah, I take them around, but after a while, it's like, man, I don't feel like driving over here. I wanted to go here, or I'm at home chilling. I don't feel like waking up in the morning and taking them to practice and doing that. But that was the rules if you want to drive, and that's just this is how you had to do it. My parents were like, we going to work, we going to do this, y'all gonna take your brother and sister around. I'm like, all right. So you got lucky being the baby, the spoiled baby.
I was not spoiled.
Yeah, you were spoiled, but it's all good. Well, is there anything else you want to touch upon on this episode? I know we got a lot more that we're going to specific things we want to touch about, but I figured this would be kind of a good start, a good introduction into those that don't know, just a little bit about our marriage and how we met, and just, some of the key points key things that we've done, throughout our marriage so far, just to keep things going. Did I leave off anything that you can think of?
Not that I can think of right now, but one thing I will say that in a marriage, when you having challenges, when you praying, like if you pray to God, if you having challenges, it's very important to pray, first of all.
Yes.
But it's not always praying for that spouse or whatever to change or, do better in the things that you didn't like. Sometimes you have to sit back and, pray and ask God to change you, because I'm just gonna admit I'm not perfect. I know there's some things that I know I've done wrong in the marriage. I know there's still some things that I can do better.
KK, you are perfect. You are perfect.
I'm not perfect.
You are perfectly
We're perfect.
made.
We're perfect for each other, but I'm not perfect.
Oh, that was a sweet, nice little response. That sounded real good.
But yeah, so I mean, there was many times that, at first I would admit I used to pray, and say, God, can you change Rickey so he can stop doing A, B, and C? But then I had to sit back and reflect and look
Wait,
at
myself. I had an A, B, and C that you was praying for?
A D, E, and F, and G, and H too.
Okay. I should have stopped at A, B, and C then. Dang. All right.
But yeah, so I had to get to the point where, I had to sit back and reflect and say, wait a minute, you're not perfect. What are some things that you can change that can make you a better wife, to make him want to be a better husband in these different things, in these different areas?
Yeah.
So I would say that's, before we get off, but I would say if anyone's listening, if you're having any challenges in your marriage, that's one area you can look at, one thing you can look at doing.
That's a good point. And that's something that I don't think I learned until, a little bit later on in the marriage was, it's easy to point out somebody else's faults or what you think are their faults, and when you spend all your time, fault finding in others, you don't take any time to look inside yourself and see, am I the person that I'm supposed to be? For God, am I the, for me, it was, am I the person that God created me to be? Am I the husband that I was created to be? Am I being the husband that I need to be for KK? And, the other part is, am I being the father that I was created to be for Sinatra and Christian? So it's a different mindset, and I think that's part of, maturing. That's part of the whole maturation process, is looking at yourself and saying, okay, I can't keep pointing the finger and being the victim and everything. I have to look at it and say, what can I do? So my prayer was, God, make me to be, the best that I can be, because, and I told KK this. I said, look, if we get divorced, it ain't gonna be because of me, and I know that sounds bad, but it's like, I'm gonna do everything I can to be the best person, not the better person, be the best person for this relationship, for you, the person I was created to be. So if it fails, at least I know that I've tried to be the best that I can be, and I'm not saying that I'm always successful at all times, but if I keep that mentality, I keep that mindset, I will continue to get better. And that's the key, is you continue to get better and wanting to get better. Because once you give up, like, I can't get any better than this, they just gonna have to take me as I am, then you cut off your ability to grow, because you just say, this is who I am. You can always grow. You can always learn if you choose to.
So
People,
basically saying if we got divorced, it'd be my fault.
yeah, pretty much.
Dang.
no, I'm just, no, I'm just playing. But I'm just saying it would be, and I see it, and KK knows I don't even like talking about divorce. Like, I'll be like, we'll be talking hypotheticals and be like, well, what if we got divorced and did blah 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 in this situation? I'm like, but we're not gonna get divorced. She's like, I know, but still, what if? I'm like, I don't even want to talk about that, because I didn't get married to get divorced. I didn't get married. I mean, well, I say some people don't. Some people think about getting divorced and they're like, well, I'll try it out for a few years and see what happens. Like, my whole mindset was, I'm getting married one time, and I'm going to make the one time count. Am I going to be perfect in that? No, but I'm going to do this and try to be the best that I can be. And I just don't believe in it. Now, are there reasons for it? Sure. Does it happen? Yeah. Am I trying to be one of the people that is part of that statistic? No. Um, and I think you have the same, I know you have the same mindset with that. I don't want to fail at this, but at the same time, we always talk about, we're not staying married just for the kids. And that's a hard pill for some people to swallow, that, some people do just stay married for the kids. And that's what happens when the kids are grown and they're out of the house and they're on their own, doing their own thing. Then you start seeing all these people who've been together for all this time. Obviously, you see all these folks getting divorced, and you're like, what happened? And, they say, well, we just kind of kept the family together for the kids. I didn't get married. I got married. We got married before we had kids. The kids came from our marriage, and I know every situation isn't like that. Some people have kids prior to, and so they already kind of have certain things established. I got married because I wanted to get married to you. Yeah, I found a wife. I wanted to get married to her first and foremost. The kids were a product of that. They are not the cause of that. So, when the kids are gone, the reason why I got married is still there. The question is, did I cultivate that? Did I make sure that it's still going? Did we work together? And did I do my part? Because if I did, then when the kids are gone, we would still enjoy spending time with each other, and when we do get a chance to spend time with each other, we stay busy, but when we get a chance to spend time, we enjoy ourselves. Sometimes it does take us to get away, from I mean, we've taken just day trip. We've gone to hotels and just spent the night just to get away in the same city, or, a city over. But, we'll try to figure out certain ways just to do things. And the kids are like, where'd y'all go? Did y'all go out of town? This, that, other? Like, no, we was right around the corner. I just didn't know. But those are the things. And that's why I say with marriage, it's just, it's about really putting in the work. If you put in the work, you will have, just like anything, you put in the work, you will be successful if you're truly passionate about it, but you got to want it. It's not about just the idea of being married. Some people just had an idea of being married, like, oh, I just like to be married because I'm around other people that were married and I want to be married because of them, because it looks like it's cool to do, or, I don't want to be alone, so I'm gonna get married. That's not a reason to get married. You get married because you can't see yourself being without that person. you know if you can see yourself like, I can't see myself being with that person, or I don't think it's going to work, but they're cool to be around right now, then you're wasting your time. When it's the right person, when you're ready to get married. And some people, that's why they wait until they get later on in life to get married, because they like to be out, being playing the field, and having certain freedoms that come with being single. And that's okay. But it's no need to rush into marriage. But when you make that decision, just make sure that that is what you want. You prayed about it, you heard God on it, and you make sure that that person is somebody that you can be with, not just about the physical stuff, because the physical stuff changes.
Mm-hmm.
At the end of the day is, when it's all said and done, gravity takes over. You get a little, people start picking up a little weight here and there. They don't look the same. They don't, move quite the same. Everything ain't in the same place as it was when you first met. But, you know, if you have a true love for that person, that has a strong, and you got a strong foundation, all that stuff don't matter. They still look the same to you today that they did when y'all first met, however many years ago. That's why I tell KK all the time. Like, she was like, I'm getting old. I'm like, no, you're not. You look the same way to me, and she's like, no, I don't. Look at this picture. I'm like, you still look the same to me, because that's how I see you. I don't see you as you see yourself, because again, most people are their own worst critics, and I'm the same way. I don't look at myself and be like, oh, I look the same. I don't look as old as, some other people that I know that's our age that have gone through life. But, I think I've aged pretty decently. But, I know I ain't the same looking person. But at the same time, I know that, you look good, to me. And, as long as we still have that going, we'll be fine. So, it's just
Oh,
that
aren't you sweet? You
I
so
try,
sweet.
I try to be, I do. I try to be. I'm trying to build up some brownie points. So, fellas, I'm telling you, the brownie points work. You better get them while you can. Build them up. They will come in handy. Trust me. And then you'll be able to tap that grace. We'll have another podcast about tapping the grace, because there is a grace to be tapped in your marriage. You can do some research on that. But anyway, so KK, I'm so glad that you joined. I appreciate you sharing. I know that speaking like this isn't really your forte, but again, you did
Mm-hmm.
well. Um, and
Mm-hmm.
y'all will be hearing more from her on this podcast. I I'm trying to get her to do a different podcast with me later on, so we'll see how that goes. We'll share some more information about that later, but she'll be back on the Airflow podcast again, just to share some insights. She's got a lot of stuff that she's cooking up on her own. And KK is in her own right mind. Like everybody that I bring on here, they got inspirational stories to share, they've got knowledge to share. And I'm gonna have her share some tidbits about, some little tips and tricks about budgeting. um, and at some point, she'll be kicking off her business venture. So that'll be coming soon. We'll talk about that later. But I want her to share, because part of this Airflow podcast is also sharing tips and tricks to help you live the best life possible. And some of those things are around finances. You have to be healthy, spiritually, mentally, physically, and financially. And those financial tips will be important to help you, especially in relationships, because there's two ways that I know for us that the enemy attacks us. One way is through our finances, and that's usually where
Mm-hmm.
KK gets attacked the most. And the other is through, us as the people, family, just different things with the family. And that gets to me when people mess with my family. So, you know, knowing those things, financial problems are a key cause to marriage failures. Um, and this little basic thing that I've seen KK establish in our household that have helped us to be so much better, in a better state financially. And then, we've learned and grown. And now, I'm picking up some things. So I have an understanding for certain pieces and certain parts of the financial thing and understanding what my responsibility is. It wasn't just, okay, you go out and make money, because we both make good money. It was understanding, the ripple effect if you go out and make certain purchases during this time and this time of the month, be careful of doing this, and just understanding really how our finances flow. It was important. So, I would tell you, she knows what she's talking about. God has blessed her with a great mind. We're givers, we definitely are givers. And so that has helped us to continue to increase. But the way KK has been able to help us balance and budget our finances, it allowed us to be good stewards. So God can trust us with what he's given us. So we're kind of the yin and yang in a way. I'm the, hey, let's go out there and spend the money. God is going to give it back to us. She's like, okay, we can do that. But, let's look at this and this and this. So she keeps me in line. She does. She keeps me in line. But, she also believes in, giving. She definitely does that. And, it's funny because sometimes I like to watch her go into her giving mode. And, sometimes I sit back and I just say, okay, God, I'm gonna let you tell her. I want her to see what that seed should be. And she every time God gives her the number, and it's like the same thing I was thinking. So
Yeah.
I know we're in tune with each other. I know spiritually we're in tune with each other. And there's times where I she's said some things, about money, and I'm just like, okay, and I go with it, because I trust her. And I think that trust is what we have in each other. She trusts me, I trust her, and we let each other flow in what we're gifted in. And that's what works. I don't step on her toes and tell her how to do the things she's gifted in. I just offer suggestions and say, hey, you might want to do this because you're good at this. And she does the same thing with me. So anyway, I can sit here and talk on and on about how good she is. But I'm definitely thankful for you coming out to talk to our Airflow podcast listeners. We will have you back on. She will return. We'll make sure you guys know about that. But I'm definitely grateful for you. Appreciate your time. Is there anything else you want to leave us with? You want to sing or rap or dance or something? But they
No,
can't see you dance.
I don't think they want me to sing. They might not come back.
Oh no, you have a beautiful voice. You sing like an angel.
Oh, you tell them to see it. No,
But
thank you for having me. I feel honored to have this opportunity to come on your podcast. We appreciate
whatever. You know, if I wouldn't have had you on this podcast, I would have got cut.
it. Nah,
He was
I
like,
was just
you done had Chef Gerard on here. You talking to all these other people. Like, I'm supposed to be on the show.
nah. This your thing. I'll let
Nah,
you roll with it. I
nah.
just give you different advice or different people to have on there, different suggestions. But nah, this your thing. You roll with it.
She didn't
You're
tell me that. Nah, she
you're
didn't
good
tell me
at
that,
it.
y'all. I appreciate that. Yeah, she didn't tell me that. I'm just messing around. But I told her, I said, no, you're gonna be guest hosting on this sometimes. So don't think you just gonna be playing around, laying in the back and just sharing and being in the dark. You're gonna be a part of this. So
I'm
uh,
behind the scene person. I can push record and stop and edit whatever you need me to do.
but you're technically still behind the scenes because you're not on camera. So you just lending your voice and your mind and your talents to share with the people. So again, we appreciate you. I thank you for joining me, not just in the podcast, but joining me in this journey of life. And I look forward to other episodes with you on here and just what we've got going on in the future. So I appreciate you, love you, and thank you again.
I love you too.
Well, everybody, thank you again for joining us for this episode of the Airflow podcast. I want to give a big shout out to my beautiful wife, Casandra, for joining me as a host on this episode. I pray that those that have listened learned a little bit. I hope that you gathered some information about marriages and what it takes to, what it took for us to make it 19 years. And we've been around several marriages where, people have been married longer, shorter. And, the one thing that they say is that they continue to fight for each other. No matter what, they fight for each other.
And, obviously for us, it's keeping God first and making sure that God is first in our personal lives and in our marriage. And that has been an important thing. So, I thank my wife for joining. I thank her for her transparency. And again, I hope that, that transparency with our relationship is going to continue to help those who are challenging or questioning marriage or just trying to figure out if it's what you want to do. And I'm an advocate for marriage. I've always been. I always wanted to be married and have a family. But the key point is I wanted to be married before I wanted to be a father. And that was a choice I made. And sometimes it doesn't happen like that, but I wanted to be married. I wanted to have a wife, and I wanted to have a relationship, with my wife, that will stand the test of time. And, we're continuing to build on that every year, 19 years in, and, each year we're evolving and learning different things about each other. So, I'm definitely happy and proud of where we are. I'm thankful and I'm so blessed to have God continuing to pour into our marriage and, continuing to allow us to be great through him. So everything that we do, all the praise that we get heaped on us for staying together this long, I always tell people, it's God. It's God and our willingness to evolve as people and evolve as, individuals to be better and be able to hold each other accountable for things that are working and not working in our marriage and work on those things. So that is the beauty of us as a team. We love each other. We're in love with each other. And, we know the temperature of things, when we're around each other. So, we can look at each other and kind of gauge things. We sense how we feel, and, it sparks conversations. And sometimes those conversations aren't easy, but they're not avoided. We try not to avoid anything like that, especially if it's detrimental to our health or detrimental to our marriage. So, again, I just thank you all for listening, for taking the time to listen to what we're discussing. I pray that all this information is valuable, and I just ask you to continue to like and share and subscribe. Anytime you see this on social media, whether it's YouTube, Facebook, we're also out on the Apple Podcasts. We're out on Spotify. So, take the time to share and invite others to listen, especially those that you think will benefit from some of the things that I'm sharing. And I do appreciate all the feedback that I've received. If there's any other feedback that, people want to share, please hit me up at airflowpodcast@gmail.com. That's airflowpodcast@gmail.com. If you want to check out our episodes, go to airflowpodcast.com and you'll be able to access the podcast directly from that site as they're posted. New episodes come up every Friday at 9 a.m. Central Time. So, every Friday you'll have a new episode that's posted out there, so please come back, check us out when you get a chance. Even if you can't, listen to the whole thing at that time, just take some opportunities to listen, and again, I welcome all feedback. If there's topics that you want to hear about, if there's things that you want me to break down, if there are people that you would think would be good for the show, definitely send them my way. I'm always open to expand out, and that's the purpose of this podcast, is to expand out from kind of my warm market of people that I'm networked with, people that I have a relationship with, and branch out into other people that I am inspired by, or I hear their story and I don't have a relationship with them, but I definitely their story resonates with me. So I'm definitely just looking to continue to grow and build this thing to be even bigger and better the way God intended it to be. So, just remember, as an heir, God created you to flow in his goodness, to flow in his blessings, to flow in all that you have been created to do. So God bless you all. And until next time, peace and flow on.